I don't want to make it sound like we're just strong arming everybody that comes to Bolivar. But let me just tell you this: we want everybody to come to Bolivar. We want them to have a great time. Bring your families, enjoy the beaches. That's what they're meant for.
That's right.
But I will tell you this: if you choose not to abide by our rules and you choose not to abide by our laws, we will definitely have a place for you over in our county jail.
Welcome back, viewers, watchers, listeners. I'm your host, Tyler Owen, kind of going solo today. It's been a busy week. We got guys in D.C. for the National Police Week. We just come off the heels of the Texas Peace Officer Memorial, and hats off to concerns of police survivors and everybody involved with that event. It was a somber event and another great time to honor the survivors and honor the fallen amongst Texas. Right now, we are going through at the end of Police Week. There's a huge event going on in Galveston County, Texas, and it is called Go Topless Weekend. And as you're well aware, a lot of media attention, a lot of law enforcement that's much needed down there. There's been a little change in the sheriff and our longtime good friend Jimmy Fullen, the sheriff of Galveston County, and our Southeast Texas, the man, the myth, the legend, our field representative, Leighton Gennari, are joining us by phone. Guys, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, Leighton, what's going on with you, brother?
Not much. Just the same old, same old.
Well, and we're also, just like I said, we're joined by Galveston County Sheriff Jimmy Fullen. Sheriff, why don't you talk about and give like kind of the listener, the viewer, the perspective of what's led up to the major enforcement aspect and the planning and the reason why this was even implemented of all the years of chaos there with the Go Topless Weekend.
Well, Tyler, let me just explain this. As over the last 5 or 6 years, it has gone from a kind of a mild event to just a total outright fiasco. With these young kids coming down here creating havoc. There've been shootings, homicides, sexual assaults, kidnappings, and during my campaign, as you know, I made a big promise that I was going to clean this Jeep Weekend up and make it go back to the way it was in the days and start getting some families back on these beaches. And we did exactly that. We pre-planned this strategic plan for our beaches and for our highways that lead into Bolivar, and we implemented them starting this morning. So far, things are looking good. And
Good.
I'm hoping at the end of the weekend, all my deputies go home, and the deputies that have come in from out of town to help us go home safely to be with their families, and all our beachgoers go home to be with their families.
And for the listener or watcher out there that doesn't really understand where Crystal Beach is at, it's the area of Galveston County that is just to the east of Galveston, across the ferry, and then right there on the south of the Bolivar Peninsula. And it's a beautiful spot. My family and I have vacationed there many, many, many times, and I got to admit, over the last couple of years, it seems like there's been a trend of people coming from mostly the Houston area and taking advantage of the quietness, the peacefulness there on the Bolivar Peninsula. And I think that's exactly what happened with this Go Topless Weekend. I think the intent was good at the beginning, and then you've always got the scrabblers and the people that want to just mess things up. Is that kind of what happened, Sheriff?
That's kind of what happened, and fortunately for me, this is my first one as newly elected sheriff. But most of my command staff were here. They've been here the last 7 to 8 years and dealing with this stuff. And thankfully, I had their insight when we started doing this strategic plan. So what we did, Taylor, is we went back in a couple of years and we got the call logs for this on the beach, and we kind of pinpointed where all the most violent calls were and calls for service and stuff like that, and kind of narrowed it down to a 6.2 mile entertainment zone, as you want to call it. and that's where we're focusing most of our attention and our efforts on. So basically got a traffic plan where you have to come off of 87 down Honeysuckle to get onto the beach. Then you have to go eastbound 6.2 miles and then exit on Stingray Drive, turn right on 87 and head back to Winnie. So right now, as of today, we're sitting at, as you know, you've been around big events your whole career and everything else. And so has Leighton. So right now we have 520 officers from 17 plus different agencies here on the peninsula. We have a traffic plan that was approved, which is rare. We had the GLO actually sign off on our traffic plan. We actually had TxDOT sign off on our traffic plan. So far since Tuesday night, we've had 48 plus arrests. I don't want to make it sound like we're just strong arming everybody that comes to Bolivar. But let me just tell you this: we want everybody to come to Bolivar. We want them to have a great time. Bring your families. Enjoy the beaches. That's what they're meant for.
That's right.
But I will tell you this: if you choose not to abide by our rules and you choose not to abide by our laws, we will definitely have a place for you over in our county jail.
Yeah.
And the last but certainly not least, come down here. If you're a social drinker, that's not a crime. But I hope if you do drink down while you're down here that you have a designated driver. And if you don't, we have a designated driver for you.
There you go. There you go. Leighton, talk about, you're obviously from that area, and you yourself, as well as your family have vacationed there in that very spot. Talk about the impact that this peaceful weekend that began as peaceful has now grown into this absolute chaos for those weekends, and how TMPA is kind of preparing to have that many officers in one specific location during a weekend.
Yeah, I was hoping that you were going to ask me that question. I grew up in Beaumont, and everybody from the Beaumont area has beach cabins and stuff like that down at Crystal Beach. We actually had a beach cabin down there on Honeysuckle of all places.
Oh, wow.
Which was away from everything, actually. I mean, it's down there by the elementary and everything. And then we lost our cabin in, I think it was 07, 08 with Ike, which wiped out the majority of the peninsula. But I grew up going down there fishing at Rollover Pass, RIP Rollover Pass. And so we bought a cabin down there because we did so much fishing down there. My wife's grandparents had a cabin down there. My cousin that was police chief of Beaumont, Willie Byard, had a famous cabin right there at Rollover Pass. So I went down to Rollover Pass and to Crystal Beach all my life growing up. And it was a rebuild on the peninsula after Ike.
Right.
And there's some extensive cabins being built over there, and a lot of money poured into the peninsula. One of my old partners at Fort Neches Police Department, Jim Walters, actually runs Swede's rental and cabin. They build cabins down there. There's several ex-law enforcement guys that retired that are down there now running businesses, a lot of mall and paw shops. And they make their living off of, people coming to their restaurants or businesses and stuff like that. And I think the people on the peninsula has had it up, to their ears.
Yes.
With the display of what goes on during Topless Jeep Weekend, the last, Sheriff Fullen said, the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And they're ready to put a stop to it. As far as TMPA goes, we were there last year. Cooking this year, Lighthouse Charities is taking over the cooking, and we're giving a check to Galveston County Sheriff's Department, actually to Lighthouse Charities, to help with some of the expenses of feeding that large of a group of officers that are going to be trying to keep everybody safe down on the peninsula.
Sheriff, if you want to dive off into the listener or viewer out there that might be a 22-year-old patrolman or a 22-year vet of any agency, and they're having this type of these type of problems with large parties, large groups, but hypothetically, if they're on private property or there's certain laws that kind of hinder us from being able to take action or prevent, these type of events from happening. What was your experience going through this, and what was your experience dealing with, I say probably the Commissioner's Court and others, to ask for resources to identify this chaotic weekend? Because you're essentially bringing all these officers down there, all these units, to protect property and to protect, more importantly, life itself. So give that explanation also of kind of walk us through how the process began for you.
Well, day one, even before day one, we were planning this with Jeep Weekend with my command staff that I had already picked. But we're very fortunate in Galveston County. We have a commissioner's court and a county judge that supports us 100%. And I will tell you this, almost 10 out of 10 times, the county commissioner is going to vote 5-0 for us. They're very pro law enforcement. They worked with us with county legal to help make sure everything we drafted, our traffic plan, our beach access plan, everything else was approved by the commissioner's court. And when we submitted to GLO, they were very involved in making sure the language was right. So we didn't have any hesitation or any resistance whatsoever with our county commissioner, which is a big deal, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And when having our county legal, looking at our documentation and our traffic plan, going to the GLO, making a few minor corrections, within a matter of a week, we had it submitted and approved by GLO and TxDOT. So, it turned out great. It truly did. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have Chief Villarreal jump in.
Yeah.
So we got a few numbers we'd like to share from previous years. Calls for service, what kind of crimes were committed, and stuff like that.
Yep.
Hey, Taylor, Chief Mel Villarreal here.
Hey, Chief.
So I've been with the Sheriff's Office this time around about 7.5, 8 years, and I've worked the last 3 years at Jeep Weekend. So just some quick numbers, and to show you how the event has grown and how the calls for service has also grown during since 2022 to 2024. In 2022, we had 693 calls for service. In 2023, we had 901 calls for service, and last year we had 882 calls for service.
Gosh.
And when you compare that with the arrests, back in 22, we had 183 arrests. In 23, we had 243 arrests, and last year we had 313 arrests. This event, and having worked the event for the last 3 years, and watching it grow and how violent and volatile this event has become, this year is a night and day difference, especially looking at it right now for this time of the year last year, where we had numerous people on the beaches already camped out and ready to rock and roll. I think for me, being part of it the last 3 years and the difference this year is having a plan and working with our local partners, law enforcement partners, local government to get this plan approved through the GLO and TxDOT, and implementing it and actually putting it into action is kind of exciting to see.
Yeah, it is. Well,
and I also want to give a shout out to Tmpa. They always come through helping out law enforcement, whether it's Lone Star Biker Rally in Galveston, Mardi Gras, whatever case. They always come through, help feed the officers and take care of their officers. No different this year at Jeep Weekend. Tmpa came through. We greatly appreciate y'all's donation to help feed all these officers, because the majority of these deputies and officers and troopers are probably clients of Tmpa's in the first place.
Yeah,
we really do appreciate y'all.
You can thank our little Louisiana boy himself, Leighton Gennari, because he's developed and maintained great, wonderful relationships down there in Southeast Texas. And, it's just a great part of Texas, too, because of the connections. And we're fortunate to have people like Leighton Gennari and Robbie Campbell on our staff to maintain those relationships.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, what I think's really, really, really interesting is that you and I spoke probably 8 months ago, and what I found was really cool is I think the response that you're seeing and the amount of people that are willing to assist Galveston County, Galveston Police Department in situations like this is because y'all are not just confined to Galveston County. We were in Kinney County on the border of the Rio Grande Valley, and there were several they didn't work for the sheriff's office, but they were deputy constables. But the fact that Galveston County is always willing to assist those in need, those that are continuing to serve Texas, those are that's the traits of that area. And the fact that you guys are now receiving those resources because of a chaotic weekend such as Go Topless Weekend, I think is a testament of not only the leadership there that's been there for a while, but also the continuation of partnerships that you guys have throughout the state.
I couldn't agree more. And, again, I don't want to miss out on anybody, but, we have 14 agencies down here assisting us, a lot from Harris County. We have troopers all the way from Del Rio, Eagle Pass that are down here helping, Pearland, just agencies from all over this region that are helping us out here. And it's just a sight to see when you pull into our compound and see all the emergency communication command posts, everything else. Just incredible. It truly is. And I can't thank all these agencies enough and these officers that are coming down volunteering to help us out. It's a great thing. It truly is.
I'd just like to thank Sheriff Fullen and Chief Villarreal. They've done an awesome job putting this stuff together, because the logistics, the logistics of this thing is a nightmare. So for them to be able to put it together and have that many people come down and assist and find places for them to stay and everything else, it's a big project for the sheriff and his command staff, and they've done an excellent job.
Well, that's something. Before we end this today, I definitely want to give a shout out to the citizens of the Bolivar Peninsula.
Yep.
We reached out to them and told them we needed housing for all these officers that were coming in, and they came up with about 125, 126 houses.
Are you kidding me?
With 600 and something beds for these officers from out of town.
Man, that gives me chill bumps. Texans taking care of Texans, and that's
Absolutely,
man, that's
brother.
what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. Well, hey, Sheriff, I'm not going to keep you long. I greatly appreciate it. As a guy that formerly vacationed in that area, and I will see you soon. Man, hats off to you, your command staff. Great job on continued dedication there in Galveston County, and hope your deputies stay safe.
Thank you, brother, and God bless y'all.
Appreciate it. Sheriff Fullen right there with Galveston County, giving us kind of an update on the Go Topless Weekend. We are fixing to hear from the man, the myth, the legend again, Leighton Gennari, and just kind of give us an update on what's going on in his area. And man, from all of us at Tmpa, I want to congratulate Leighton's youngest son. We don't want to name the high school. We definitely don't want to name the college that he's attending, but he's graduating high school this weekend, and a long-time devoted person within his extracurricular activities. And so hats off to your son. Hats off to you for raising such a great dude, man. Great young man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we won't name the school, but it's Boomer Sooner.
Well, man, what's going on with you? What's the update? Any updates you want to kind of cover there in the Southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, as I like to say, and anything new that we need to be aware of?
Well, I think it's just like all the other areas within the Southeast Texas region. Me and Robbie down in the valley with JP, a couple other places across the state. It's bargaining season, you know, and so people that are up for bargaining, that's what we're doing. So that's the big thing right now is the bargaining portion. Of course, we still have our fires going at different places. One being City, that's old news and stays around. And
is there any update on Texas City or?
There's some things coming down the pipeline that I'm not able to speak about right now. Right. But yes, there's stuff coming down the pipeline. So, and it seems like the community is starting to get behind the police department a lot more. I say police department, the actual police association.
Right.
Trying to look for some change down there. So hopefully some good things coming from there. But yeah, all over the Houston region, the big thing right now is pay with the Harris County deputies.
Yep.
And Harris County deputy constables. And so I've had meetings with those guys recently with the constables. And so there's some plans in place, and they're going to commissioner's court and asking for the pay parity with the Houston PD. So that's stirred up a lot around the Houston area with that big pay raise that HPD.
Well, and just for the viewer or watcher out there, listener, Leighton reached out to me a couple of days ago, or last week, was it? He visited with some Harris County constables, and there was some concern, right? The concern about the pay parity with Houston Police Department. And for those out there that are kind of questioning, hey, is TMPA involved or are we not? We are. 100% we are. We've never left. And we're working through that and working with the Harris County Deputies Association in order to accomplish the goal. And the goal is to receive significant pay increases for these deputies that are out there risking their lives shoulder to shoulder with the men and women of Houston Police Department. They get paid significantly more. And so Leighton, Robbie, Jay McClellan, our training coordinator, and really the whole team here at TMPA, all the staff, we are working with stakeholders there at the Harris County organization to make that happen. Now, it's going to be up to the commissioner's court, and it's going to be up to the leadership there at the commissioner's court to make that happen. But we are behind the scenes, and we are on the forefront and speaking with them on a daily basis on how TMPA can support them.
Correct. Yes, sir. That was well put.
Oh, well, thank you, Leighton. Well, yeah. So speaking of Texas City, it seems that these mayor-strong cities that we're seeing the same problem there in back on his heights, the dictator type mindset of some of these guys that just they want power and they run for mayor and there it is, and it creates so many problems, not just on the city level but the public safety aspect too. And it's not our job to go out there and headhunt mayors or police chiefs just because we want to. We're doing it for a reason, and we're doing it because it's for the betterment of the city and the betterment for that community. And so Leighton's dealing with the situation in Texas City just like that. Deidre Johnson, the Texas City mayor, is just absolutely not pro law enforcement. And he is, there's no other way to say it, but he's just running that city like he's a dictator.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, through the business dealings that he has squashed over there, that the city's going to lose money on, stuff like that. I mean, you could go on and on about that type of stuff. Hopefully, in the future, that they look at changing their form of government.
Yes.
If I lived in a city, I would rather have a council be able to have a little bit more, I guess,
power
than just one person. You know what I mean? That way there's at least numerous people that, has a say-so and stuff instead of just one guy, because like you said, places like Texas City turns into a dictatorship and one guy is ruining it for everybody. And there's several other cities around Texas that are like that, and we're having issues at those too. So we're for police, but we're like firemen because we're going around and putting fires
putting out these fires. That's right. Well, brother, I appreciate you, our friendship, and everything you do for Tmpa in Southeast Texas. You got anything else?
No, that's it. I appreciate everything. Like I said, I think things are going to go a lot better after this year for Bolivar Peninsula, and hopefully, keep our fingers crossed that there's no injuries on either side. There be police or citizens. Just a couple years ago, there was a deputy that actually lost his life down there. So hopefully things go safe for him this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, take care. Get that boy graduated, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right, see you. We just heard from the Southeast Texas Field Representative Leighton Ganeri, and hats off to him, and again, for maintaining those relationships and building the relationships there as a former law enforcement officer in the area, but as a field representative too. If you think about it, we kind of dove off into this conversation with Sheriff Fullen, and to have over 500 officers or 600 officers on a peninsula the size of Bolivar, and to have 17 agencies involved, that's a huge critical situation to be a part of and to head up. And so he was heading into emergency management planning, and so that's why we kind of jumped off into getting him on the phone. So right now at Tmpa, our conference is registration is open. It is going to be at the Houston Regency, downtown Houston. Going to be a great time, July 26th through the 28th. Get online, register now. I'll put the link right here. And if you guys can go ahead and do that, it's going to be a good time. All the field reps will be there. All of our Tmpa staffs put a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into the planning of this. And so we're very much looking forward to seeing you guys there. We've done things a little bit different this year with the registration. We're not going to go through the typical system of your membership. It's through a website called HandBid. But if you have any problems with that, give us a call, 1-800-848-2088. We can certainly help you out. You guys take care. Stay safe. God bless you. And as always, may God bless Texas. We're out.